be able to play a whole season. Each athlete is different. The foundation
Right.
is pretty much all the same, but like I said, once you evaluate each athlete, some of the needs are different than others.
For sure, for sure. And I think, the NBA universe is really cool because it's like a bunch of businesses within a business, right? There's a bunch of little places and avenues and things like that. And I think I'm not sure there's any like part of the NBA business that's evolved more than trainers, right? Like than training and keeping athletes kind of at their peak performance. When you get a person like Jared Vanderbilt, or let me first ask, like, how long have you been training with him specifically for?
It's been about 3 years. Been with
3 years. Nice. Okay. So when you get a player like Vanderbilt, what's the first thing? Like, do you like go with him? Like, hey, what is? Do you go specifically into like what he's trying to be as a player, and then go into like the training with him and what to make it specific towards him? Like, what do you do when you get a player
uh,
to
um,
start training them?
the first thing is to evaluate them, man. I take them through the basic fundamentals
Right.
of strength training, speed training, and athletic training, just to see, like I said, balance, stability, where his core strength is, where he's has have mobile issues, any aches and pains. We try to attack those areas first, and then from there we can build on what he wants to do on the court because it all translates. But first thing is finding those key things that are holding them back from being an elite athlete or having nagging injuries or is putting on weight, doing it the right way without losing the athletic ability.
For sure, for sure. And with like Jared specifically, was there something that you saw where like, okay, you got him like 3 years ago, and then you were like, okay, here's where like we can kind of develop. So what was something that like you saw from him like right away, like when you got him 3 years ago? Because really 3 years ago is when he started to really pop. He wasn't really playing much in Denver, and then like he really got going as an NBA player in Minnesota. What was something like you got with him and you were like, okay, this is something we can really develop and get better at, especially for him.
Well, I think the athletic ability has always been there for Jared. That's why he was a top athlete coming out of high school,
Yeah.
and drafted in the second round without much production because of a injury plagued freshman year. But still, like I said, got his name called. Denver saw something special in him, and when he got
Hmm.
when he got to me, the main thing was putting on weight. I think we've added 30, 40 pounds since he's been training with me, just to be able to bang down low, and do what he's asked to do. And I think that's been the biggest thing that we've harped on, adding weight while staying explosive, fast, and being able to stay strong with those guys down low to be doable for a whole season.
Yeah, you can really tell that. Like, obviously, I'm new watching him play, but like, he's already become. I don't know if you know, but he's already become like a fan favorite for us for the Lakers. Honestly, they went from uh Justin. They went from all these small guards, right, playing like Schroeder and Beverly at these wing positions to like a Jared Vanderbilt who's all of a sudden super active and can really like attack the rim and stuff like that. And it's been cool to kind of see that. And have you seen like the strength stuff kind of really impact his on-court play already, where like he's taking contact better and is able to defend kind of stronger guys now than in a way that he wasn't able to kind of when you first got him?
Oh, most definitely. He's always been able to move his feet and stay in front of guys. I just think it gives him
Yeah.
the advantage to be able to take that bump a little bit more, and apply that same force back, and be able to. He's a rebounder. He's a high energy guy, and it helps him to be able to be all over the floor. And when it's time to get down there and get dirty, he's able to do that. Able to box out guys a lot more, and just be able to go over the top of guys, while using his length and not having to, you know what I'm saying, try to fight with him because he wasn't big
Yeah.
around.
Right, and so you use the term like high energy guy, and I want to ask you, obviously a person who works with like NBA players, do they not like that tag? I wonder, like so like another like player like that on the Lakers is Wendy Gabriel as well, who gets who gets put as a high energy big, but I feel like that sometimes doesn't give like the player the credit of like, yeah, energy is seen as like an effort thing, but also you have to have like the skills and stuff with that. Have you heard like that as something that like I guess players don't especially like being just labeled as just like an energy guy, or is that something you don't really see them kind of talk about really?
Um, I mean, everybody's different, man. It's it's
Right.
just we're all humans. Some people take offense to something that someone to take as a compliment. To me,
Yeah.
Me personally, I think that's actually speaking volumes of the athlete, of the player, because that's
Hmm.
just that has nothing to do with your how you play or if you can play. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't have it in them to bring that energy, so I think it's a plus, and to be able to do that selflessly is extremely hard, and Vanderbilt is able to do that at a high level, and that's one of the first things I like to speak about because he's a selfless player that does everything at a high level.
Yeah, for sure. And look, to me, I think, playing hard is actually a skill. Like, I find that just watching, a bunch of players play and stuff like that. I think playing hard at all times is an actual skill, and it's kind of tough as well. I think sometimes coaches, like those type of players, they kind of reduce their minutes, right? Because they play so hard that, like, you don't want them playing 35, 40 minutes. You might not get all the requisite stuff that comes with that. But, Vanderbilt's been really fun. And, you mentioned his selflessness. I think, like, the thing that most stood out to me watching him that I didn't know um, was his passing. Like, he's a really fun kind of passer, and he can do that off of ball screens, out of just catching on 4-on-3s and stuff. Is that something that you've seen really improve, kind of with like when you got him 3 years ago, like around when he was in Minnesota, to now, like where does he like where he can see the game at a better level than he did at that time?
Yeah, I think uh,
I think his overall game has improved since he's had the opportunity to get on the floor in Minnesota. Missing college, man,
Yeah.
he missed a lot of development. So his development came from Denver first seeing his potential and taking him in the second, and then being traded to Minnesota where he can display his skills, learn, and get the experience on the court, bumps and bruises, and learn what type of player he could be in this league.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned like in college, I guess he got hurt, right? I think he only played like 14 games in college, and then goes, second round in Denver. Um, when you talk to him and a player like that, that's now kind of getting minutes and stuff like that, do you think like he sees kind of himself as like most good players when they get in the league and they're in the league for years now? Like, do you see himself as just like a role guy now, or when you work with him, like, is it like, okay, this is your by now, like, you kind of know where he is in the league and what he's good at. Like, now when you go into training sessions kind of with him, is it kind of like, okay, I'm this like energy kind of big, and now let me just focus on that? Or do you still like kind of put in like, okay, let's try to build like a pull up jump shot here or stuff like that? Like, how do you kind of mesh those two things together, where like you want to kind of build strengths on strengths, but you also want to open the player up to become more versatile and become the best player that they could be?
I mean, I only have one mindset, man, and it's to be the best. So when we train, it's to be the best at everything that we do. If we actually shoot the ball,
Right.
we're gonna be able to shoot the ball. If we actually put the ball on the floor, we're gonna be able to put the ball on the floor. Also, you have to be smart and work within the system that you're playing in. So most of the training is revolved around that. But as the individual players, we're working on Jared being the best NBA player he can be. We're working on being the best jump shooter, best pull up off the dribble. You know what I'm saying? Best wing off the dribble, pull up. You know what I'm saying? So uh,
Yeah.
best defender from 1 to 5. So the training is to be the best at everything, not limit ourselves to the what we're asked to play, because that's just the exciting part of the opportunity, being able to be versatile, and I think that's what makes him special.
For sure. And like you talked about it, training him and trying to get him in the best positions. How big is like continuity within that? I guess because Vanderbilt's now on his third team in 3 years, right? So it's three different or third team in 2 years, maybe if I have my math right. But he's like on different systems. Obviously, coming with D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley, two players that he's kind of had continuity with. But how big is that? I guess for a player like him who's kind of going into different systems. You talked about Denver, Minnesota, Lakers, all kind of different, right? Different systems of different stars that they're kind of built around. How big is it for him, I guess, a player like that, or even role guys, to like be in the same system for a while to thrive? Or like how tough is it, I guess, to like keep going to like different teams and trying to find your role there?
Um, you're right. That is very hard to do, and Vanderbilt has made it look fairly easy up until this point.
Yeah.
I think the longer he is with a team and he's able to gel and get comfortable with that role, to be able to play in it for an entire year and get used to the guys that he's playing with, I think we'll see a lot more polished Jared Vanderbilt, being able to play all around. Like this year, he expanded to three. So I
Uh-huh.
think it is very important. But like I said, it shows how special he is about how he's been able to fit with each and every team that he's been able to play for.
For sure. So yeah, dive in a little bit to like his game, and I guess to get the player's perspective. What does like I guess Jared Vanderbilt see himself as? Like to me, when he was traded here, I thought he'd be kind of this small ball big, right? Like a almost small ball center at times. But like I watch him now and I see him as like this versatile wing. Like we threw him on Brandon Ingram, and Brandon Ingram, Justin, has given us hell the last the last few years, honestly. But you know, their own color commentator, Antonio Daniel, says he does the best job on him. But from Jared Vanderbilt's point, what does he see him as, or is it like just positionless? Does he see himself as like a player who just can play and fit in any position, or does he see himself like, no, I'm a wing, or another Laker that we got this year, Troy Brown, was saying like he likes to defend smaller guards, even though he plays a 2 guard, 3 guard. Like, what is, I guess, Vanderbilt, when he talks to you or when you work with him, what like position does he kind of see himself as on a team that has LeBron and AD really playing the 4 or 5 already? Where does like he see himself in terms of like position wise in the league?
Just some of the things I harped on earlier. Working to be able to defend 1 through 5, and to be able
Yeah,
to perform anything asked of him. He's not really focused on position. He wants to be the best player, and wherever you put him at,
right.
he's gonna be able to provide a spark whenever needed. So he's not really a me guy. He just wants to win. Loves the game of basketball. Very passionate about it, and he wants to be the best him. He's creating a name for himself in the style of play, and I think what you see when he's playing is who he's working to be.
For sure. And I think, you know, the really exciting part to me about him, Justin, is pairing him with another special defender in Anthony Davis. I think like those two can really have a lot of fun. And I remember when Utah was going on their big run, and I thought Vanderbilt was just a huge part of that, just being that versatile defender, allowing, you know, the Utah Jazz to play guards like Jordan Clarkson, or, you know, there are other small guards that can sometimes other ways get taken advantage of defensively. But obviously, the Lakers started him for the first time in that last game. Most that's what Laker fans wanted. Honestly, they wanted, you know, the Vando kind of AD Braun 3-man lineup. What do you see that as, like in terms of just those two, especially AD and Vanderbilt? What can that do, I guess, for the Lakers on defense, especially when those two are kind of playing that 3 through 5 switchability? What do you see as their pairing going forward and the chemistry that they can build together?
Oh man, it could be very very special. Scary defense. That length is hard to just go by. So, and then trying to shoot over their hands, making it hard for the guards to come down low and the bigs to finish. I think it could be one of the best defenses in the second half of the season after the All-Star break, especially with LeBron being healthy. Vanderbilt takes pride in playing defense, playing the passing lanes, and keeping his man in front of him. And I think if he could do that, it'll take a lot of pressure off of AD having to control the paint for the most part, um, alone, and helping by getting a lot of rebounds from Vanderbilt. You add his rebounding, and ability to play defense to LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think it'd make it hard for any offense.
For sure. And just piggybacking kind of on that point real quick, you know, you said them two as a defensive, you know, combo can be special, but him, like, when you're training a player, like, how can you train, like, can you train defense in the same way, kind of? Obviously, offensively, you can kind of put up shots, you can contest. How hard is it? Because you watch him defend these wings, and I wonder how you can kind of teach that or kind of work on that. I guess you see him get skinny around ball screens. You see him kind of stay contested, has all these little tricks to kind of stay attached to guys moving around screens, and then also down low, being able to win those rebound battles. As like a trainer, can you like, is there a way to improve that, or is that only, can you like really get better defensively by guarding the best players, or by guarding all these, you know, huge scoring wings and stuff like that? Or is there something you can like put into practice, I guess? How would you kind of go about that with a
Uh,
player like Vanderbilt?
Defense is definitely a learned skill. Once you learn the
Okay,
technique, you learn the body movements. That's why it's really important to understand how the body works, and it'll help you understand movement, and learning the different tactics and fundamentals of defense, how to move your feet. Training, we add a lot of resistance, having to move in his feet. staying in his wide base so it's hard for defenders to go around him, and then understanding how to
Yeah.
move his feet, get skinny, and be able to move around screens and through screens and such. But the main thing is working on quick feet, quick twitch, and his abductors. It's a lot of work. He uses his abductors a lot, just being in that defensive position and actually taking pride in it. And using his length playing those passing lanes. So we do a lot of defensive slides with the med ball, a lot of bandit slides as well, where he slides out and has to control himself back in. The med ball, he has to use the opposite hand as he's going to the opposite direction. And then I'm changing my hands left and right and at an angle for him to open up his hips and have to move his feet at the same time.
Yeah, I love that, the detail you put in that, because I think it is an effort thing as well. I think defensively, and so many things are effort kind of based, but people see, a bad defender and they just immediately like go into he's just not trying, right? But I love that you kind of went into the detail in that, because you can definitely see that in his game. You talked about the medicine ball, kind of using your abductor to stay with these wings and go around them. And then you talked about the strength training and kind of putting it all together. When you see a guy like that, because the Lakers have really missed that the last few years, they didn't really want to put LeBron or Anthony Davis right onto the other wing. That's a lot of work for them to also then carry the offensive load, right? In the West, you have these apex kind of stars in Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and then you have Jason Tatum kind of in the Eastern Conference, and all these wings all around the league. Luka Doncic kind of feels that. Do you see Vanderbilt as a guy like in a playoff series or just in a stretch, you're like, hey, go, stay on this wing and kind of try, you can't stop them, but like slow them down? Do you see him as that type of defender where you can kind of put him on these wing stopper these wings, and kind of he can shut them down for a sec?
Most definitely. I think that that would be a great role for him, and I think that he would give it everything he has. Like you said, man, it's hard to stop these guys who are trained to score. You know what I mean?
Right.
How they get paid is their livelihood. So it's just hard to just shut a man down. But just to send the youth legs at them, let LeBron and AD get a little rest on the defensive end, play their roles, play their areas, and Vanderbilt run around and guard the high energy offensive player. I think I could definitely see that happen. It's kind of similar to the role that he was playing in Minnesota for a while when they would play the Lakers. He would guard LeBron, and they would play Portland. He would check Dame Leonard for a little bit, and they played Golden State, and he was on Steph and Clay. So it's kind of similar to how his role has been expanded, and he's been getting the opportunity to play more.
For sure. I remember I was at a Minnesota Lakers game last year, and Vando just kicked our butt, man. Like, he was dominating on the offensive rebounds. LeBron didn't play that night, but like AD and some other guys played, and he was absolutely just a monster there. And that's another thing I'm interested in, offensive rebounding as well, because that's something that he was touted as, that's one of his big skills as well. I wonder, is that another thing? Is that just like knowing where the ball is kind of coming off, having a sense for it? Or is that also something you can kind of work on? And I think that's also part of his like unlimited energy, right? That he's just constantly moving. That's one of my favorite things about him, honestly. Even on the offensive end, a lot of non-shooters can be taken out of games because they don't move. He's such a good cutter that his like threat as a cutter brings up gravity, but his offensive rebounding is another thing that's really been touted. Is that something, again, like 3 years ago, you're like, okay, you have this athletic profile, we can really impact games in a way that's not scoring? Or is that something that just naturally comes to like a player like Vanderbilt and his like basketball IQ and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think his length helps him, and his athletic ability along with it. He has a high IQ for the game, understands different angles that players are shooting at for him to put his body in position to go get a chance at a rebound. And I think, like I said, for him adding that strength to be able to bang down low, he's able to out-jump a lot of guys. He has that quick twitch in him, so if he does tip it, he can go be the first one to get his hands back on it. And a lot of balls, he's actually running full speed for it, trying to save them. Just from his effort. He just got that grit that you can't teach kids or teach many athletes. But all of those things come into play. And that experience of playing, learning from the older guys and teammates as well. Being in Denver, being in Minnesota, and now in LA, he's played with some great players.
For sure. And, you said he's played with some great players. He's about to play with, the all-time leading scorer in points in LeBron James. And, their fit has been really fun because, I think LeBron plays really well next to, like, these type of cutters. And you'll see Vando on a lot of these clips here, all his baskets, he's kind of reading the defense and gets behind the defense kind of with that, gets behind the defense for cuts and, for layups, and he's, passing guys open. How do you see, like, his pairing with LeBron, I guess, as the passer? Obviously, you like more shooting kind of on the floor, but I think him and LeBron have found a really nice chemistry there where, they work together, and LeBron's found him on cuts and in transition and just running the floor. What do you see those two as a pairing coming as the season goes on?
I think it could be a great combination, especially with Vando able to set strong screens and cut, whether he's cutting back door or popping to the corner with his three-point percentage being as high as it's ever been this year. I think it's going to give LeBron the ability to make different decisions and be able to rely on him towards the basket, whether it's throwing the alley or a bounce pass or him kicking to the corner and hitting the corner jump shot or attacking the rim. So I think it's gonna add to the Lakers' offense having that versatility from Jared Vanderbilt, and then with his ability to take the ball off the dribble, to take pressure off of LeBron and AD having to facilitate and run the offense when D'Lo is not on the floor.
Yeah, I think, so there's some plays here where he's taking it full court. I think that's something that Laker fans weren't really sure about. But, he's got a lot of plays where he just rebounds and goes with the basketball, and he goes and finishes inside, or, he gets fouled. And I think, another really fun part about him, and, again, I said, non-shooters sometimes get taken out of the games, but he just never stops moving. And you talked about the screening as well, and I think that's extremely important too. And he plays off a guy like Malik Beasley really well, because Beasley is just can gun and fire, and if his guy's kind of playing off him, he can just shoot right away. Is that something also you've worked on with him? Hey, if you set a good screen, you'll likely get the ball back. Because I think screening also is another just really underrated part of NBA basketball. You see a lot of screens are kind of fake screens, right? It's kind of just passively, taking a screen to kind of run this fake offense that eventually is going to go to an isolation play or something like that. But is that something you guys work on as well? Hey, you set this screen properly, you'll get the ball back, or you'll actually be open on a lot of these plays.
We talk about a lot of different things, man. Just being a smart player. And the training is designed for him to be able to perform, like I said, in any position that he's put in. Understanding that the little things that a lot of people don't do, you can go a long way doing those things, and that's how his career has started to take off, by setting a strong screen, being selfless, whether the ball comes back or not, stealing the ball, giving it up, just little things like that. But we talk about playing physical and taking advantage of opportunities, but most importantly, playing within the system and having fun.
For sure, and I'm really interested because this is when you get with Vanderbilt. Do you guys go to okay, let's watch the tape, kind of hey, here's where? Do you go and pull film? You hear other trainers kind of say hey, I've pulled all of his clips and stuff like that. Is that something you'll do as well? Hey, you're most successful from here on the floor, or when you drive left, people are sitting on your right hand, stuff is that the detail you guys go into too? Because you could tell with Vanderbilt, his game is very detail oriented. You can tell that he cares about those kind of things, and you don't get to become the player like he is and play the way he does without being super detail oriented. But do you kind of see that as well? When you guys work together, he's hey, I'm pretty good here on this side of the floor. Is that stuff you guys will get into as well, aside from just the strength training to put it all together?
We talk about a lot of different things because I'll record and if there's something I don't like or little things like that,
yeah,
I'll make fun or get on them. You know what I'm saying? I'm hard on him, so
yeah,
that. So he'll be show me, and then I have to film with him and some little things that we'll begin to work on. He has some on the court guys that he does a lot of work with as well here in Houston. So they do a lot of different work with him as well. But for me and him, we got kind of a brother relationship because we built that bond.
Yep.
Spent a lot of time with each other, been able to travel as well. So we talk about a lot of different things like that. And I'm always telling them like, uh, just continue to have fun and perfect his role. And like I said, he's so selfless, man. We work on everything literally. It's not one thing we don't. There's not one thing we skip over because you never know what role he's going to be asked to play. So and he's young, man. He's only 23 years old, so he's
Yeah,
got to put the work in.
for sure. Yeah, you could tell that he does, and the jump shot you talked about is at the highest percentage and it's been at as a while. Is that something where like you guys go in the gym like, hey, let's just get 300 shots up and all kind of because Vanderbilt, I think a player he can kind of know where his shots are coming from as well, right? Like he's like, okay, I'm playing next to LeBron or Jokic or whoever, like I'm gonna get all these spot up open threes, and it's just me putting the repetition and the time in. Is that the kind of way he sees it as well? He's like, okay, I'm gonna go play with this superstar player. My job is just to make these kind of open shots, right? Is that something like he goes into
Exactly.
with you guys as well? When Mhm.
Exactly. That's just being a smart player, man. Just having a high IQ, understanding that hey, this is what I'm gonna be asked to do. 99% of the time, so I need to be able to perform that and ready to go when my name is called. And that's the purpose of training everything and being an all around player. But definitely playing within the system is first and foremost because that's how you're going to continue to have the role that you have and expand that role. And then knocking down those shots and being trusted to take those shots for them to want to even make the extra pass is the reason why we put the extra work in as well.
For sure. And so, the Lakers kind of traded late for Vanderbilt. Like this is like kind of late in the season. There's only, 23 games left. Would have been nice to have a little bit longer stretch. And I'm hopeful this is a long-term thing, and I think Vanderbilt has like a team option for next year. But what do you kind of see in these last 23 games with the team? I guess you followed him across. You followed the Lakers, I'm sure. Do you see them being able to kind of get into the playoffs? Is that something? Is the play-in too far out? Do you think for them? They're like 3 games behind now. Where do you kind of see the team going with him? Uh, as with the new additions with him and Beasley and I guess D'Lo as well, all kind of coming together to try to make a run here with only a few weeks left in the season.
I think what gives them an advantage is there's not a lot of film on them together on the court. So it's going to be a
Yeah,
lot of figuring out for other teams on how to play them, and there's also a lot of figuring out for them on how to play together. I think playing with LeBron and AD makes the game simple for anybody. It's going to be a new look
yeah.
Lakers, and I think that adding that length and that shooting ability from D'Lo and Malik Beasley gives LeBron and AD exactly what they need, similar to the championship run they made in the bubble.
Yeah, for sure. And D'Lo talked about it as well. I think after a game, he's like, it's so easy playing next to LeBron and AD, kind of after where he was in Minnesota. Not talking about the Minnesota guys, but just how easy it is to play off the gravity of them. D'Lo, Beasley, and Vanderbilt kind of coming together. Vanderbilt and Beasley obviously traded together. Do you think that helps a player kind of get acclimated to a new place as well when they're traded at the same time with other people they can kind of come with? NBA, it's a trade kind of trade season, and people get all excited, but these are actually real people moving, right? Have to move their whole families and livelihood to another city. How big is it to have another guy like Beasley, like, hey, we can go together kind of to the new city? How big is that for players that you've seen that you've trained?
Oh man, that's extremely important. We're all human, like you said, so being comfortable and having somebody alongside you, it's better than being alone. I don't care who you are. Being
Right.
having some teammates that you're used to in their locker room and traveling with and that knows how you can play. It's just going to help speed up the process and actually help you all gel more, especially what 3 guys that were in Minnesota together. So it's not they're not missing too much chemistry. It's just them filling their role alongside AD and LeBron because that's what it is now. Now it's them playing a role and being themselves within that role, and I think it fits all of their game.
For sure. Yeah, and so the Lakers are trying this like 3-star kind of build thing, and then now they're going on to these like role players. And I just have a few more questions on like the defensive stuff for him because I think that's kind of what they traded for. And you said he's like switchable on all 5 kind of players. How have you seen him, I guess, switching on to like guards, I guess? Because I think that's another thing the Lakers have really missed is like a guy who you can throw on like a pool or stuff like that. Do you think like that's a guy you can throw him like a Jordan Poole, or not Steph is probably the extreme, but where do you see him, I guess, in terms of defending guards as well in that 1 through 5? You talked about he's able to move his feet and kind of leverage his strength in those ways. Is that something as well? You're like, hey, go guard this guy who's running off a million screens as well. Is that another place you can kind of throw him on the floor and it can work?
Definitely. Last year, I watched the Golden State game in Minnesota. Had him guarding Steph from the half, from
Yeah,
a little bit over half court, and that length was giving Steph a little trouble. I mean, it's Steph Curry, so you're not gonna shut him down. You're not
right.
too long, but Vanderbilt was able to get his hands on the ball a couple of times, and that's all you can ask for a player like Steph. Just getting your hands on the ball and making him having to work. He's going to hit those tough shots, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So just having that ability for the Lakers to use that length is and Vando being able to put his defense and ability guard the guards on display. I think the Lakers are going to use that to their advantage, and Vanderbilt will love that opportunity.
For sure. Yeah, it's been fun kind of watching him, and I'm hopeful to like watch him grow and play. Is there anything about Jared Vanderbilt that I guess Laker fans should know that maybe is not, out there, something interesting about him that from the brotherhood like relationship you have, or maybe something funny about him? Like, do you have anything that you can like share, I guess, with Laker fans like that maybe they won't know, to kind of get a better idea of like who Jared Vanderbilt is as a person? It's only been 3 games where he's played. Lakers are, I believe, 2-1 when he played. So, but is there anything about Jared Vanderbilt that like you would like say that you can explain about him that's not really known by a lot of people?
I don't know if I know he has it in his bio, I believe, but he's the one who inspired me to go vegan. I think he's
Oh, nice.
very big on that, and I
Wow.
tried. I went on a few trips with him, and I ate every meal that he ordered that was vegan. I ordered the same thing, and I actually fell in love with it. Feel a lot better. Um, the knowledge he gave me, and I began to do my own research, and since then I've been vegan. He's very quiet, but also very very funny. Humble guy. Like I said, very selfless. He's like a little brother to me. He's a great human being for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, you talked about the vegan stuff. I remember like the plant-based stuff was like huge for a while. And when you get players to come with you, are they like, yeah, I'm, on this plant-based stuff, and do, is that something you advocate for now, or like for players to kind of get on, or like how do you kind of navigate that? Because I remember that was a huge thing. Chris Paul, I remember, started with it. Carmelo Anthony, and those dudes lost like a ton of like weight. I remember that in one of the summers. Is that something you kind of advocate too for your players? Like, hey, if you get on this plant diet, you can run a little bit faster or have a little bit more stamina during games.
I'm not really how you say. I'm not really recruiting anyone to be vegan, but I do talk to them about
Right,
eating in moderation. Just understanding
right,
what you're putting in your body and what you put whatever you're feeding your body, how it's gonna go throughout your body. You know what I'm saying? How's your body gonna process it?
yeah,
How is it gonna help you in the needs that you need for your body? And just understanding those little things, man. Just I tell all of my athletes, understand the body from a nutrition side and anatomy standpoint, so you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. And no, so it's not just someone telling you something and you going off of what they're explaining to you. You have your own knowledge and understanding, because that's what's going to separate you and keep you from putting anything you don't need into your body. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And also being able to help prehab and rehab your own self to keep you durable.
Awesome. And this last basketball question for me. So no, you watch Jared Vanderbilt this season. You're gonna get with him, I'm guessing, this summer to get back and get back into work. What's like the biggest thing you think in his game? I guess besides just shooting, like you think that like he can improve on, or he can work on during the summer. I know it's hard for players to kind of get better during the season. I've heard they like to take the months to kind of improve on stuff. What do you think is the biggest thing for him to continue to like get better as a player? You talked about he's still so young, 23 years old, 22 years old. So where do you what's the thing like you think you'll go into the gym this summer and be like, hey, we can get better at this to improve even more for next season?
Um, there's not one thing that we won't work on. I think that he has to get all around, from ball handling to
Sure.
shooting off the dribble, making moves and going by defenders, being a better defender, being a better teammate. So I just think this off season will be about improving everything. Like I said, you never know what opportunity is going to come, and you never know what role he's going to be asked to play. And so, in my mind, it's always getting better. It's not one thing that we're going to overlook. We want to be the best player and best individual, and that's what's going to help the team.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, Justin, this was incredible. I really appreciate, you coming on and joining with me here. If you have anything that you want to plug or you can plug, please do here. But this was an awesome basketball conversation. I really appreciate it. But yeah, if anything you want to plug here, please do, man.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity, and look forward to speaking to you soon. Those who don't know me, I'm Justin Allen, owner of All In Sports in Houston, Texas. My Instagram handle is Justin Allen _13.
For sure. Yeah, please. And then go follow Justin on Twitter. He just said Justin Allen _13. Go give him a follow there. And just great insight into Jared Vanderbilt, the new Laker addition that just came to the team. So, Justin, I really appreciate you, man. I'm going to let you go enjoy this Saturday.
Thank you, man. You have a great day.
Hey, you too, bro. Thank you.
Into the corner to Vanderbilt. Clarkson splits two defenders, kick out Vandal right back corner three. To his left. Drop it off Vandal from the corner. Got it. Throw in 9 off the hand of Royce O'Neal. Vandal from the corner. Splash.
All right, awesome. That was Justin Allen. Thank you guys for listening there. We should have the stream kind of put up somewhere up there, but that was a really great conversation. So JX chilling. Yes, we should have it to rewatch a little bit later. But thank you guys. I'm gonna log off here. Make sure to tune back in later on this afternoon for the Saturday All-Star festivities. And please, if you're watching anonymously, appreciate you coming in, but please log in. It takes 2 seconds to become a member, and you can easily join in. So appreciate you guys listening. It's a really cool conversation with Justin Allen. Again, please go give him a follow at Justin Allen _13. Gave a lot of cool insights about Jared Vanderbilt and what he's doing as a player, and where he can improve and what they work on when they get in the gym. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys a little bit later.
Some miscommunication, a big gaping hole. That's the green light to put the ball in the basket. Playing with right now.